Welcome back to DFL as we discuss the life and the work of St. Lucia's Police Commissioner Vernon Francois. Now, I said that we were going to talk about the police, and I'm going to, because we had a lot of questions about this. Now, here are the questions. Commissioner, you promised to clean up the force from all dirty cops. Have you started a search? What has been put in place to do these checks? Please update the nation.
Yes, well, I promised to clean up the force, but I didn't necessarily promise to go on any witch hunt. Obviously, for us to be able to deal with police officers who engage in negative behavior, we need to put together the evidence. We've had some cases where police officers have been dismissed. I think what we are not doing well enough is really publicizing the instances where we have dealt with police officers. So we have police officers now who are before the court, police officers who are on suspension, police officers who have been dismissed, but it is something that we have to do systematically. We have to get the evidence. We have to ensure that that it is not just somebody just saying something about a police officer, but that we can prove in every case, as we do with other people, really. So, but it is something that I'm still focused on, and I have warned the police officers that I'm prepared to support them when they do the right thing. But if they do things that are not right, if they engage in negative behavior, I propose to deal with them also. I
mean, it could be a difficult situation because it's a catch-22. If you name and shame, then it's not actually saying a good thing for us as a society, but at the same time, perhaps people feel more confident in you if you are naming and shaming the people who are supposed to be listening.
Yeah, and I think people will feel more comfortable with the organization too. I know there are a number of police officers who will not want a few bad police officers to bring down the good name of the organization.
That's another consideration.
Every day pursue them and chase them, and if there is any opportunity they have to deal with them, they will also deal with them. So, whereas it is not I suppose maybe it may not look right to be chasing after your own colleagues, but the fact of the matter is that I think the name of the organization is bigger than every one of us.
Okay, here's another question. Why is it right for police officers to shoot persons and say they are defending themselves and it's okay, whilst a correctional officer who shoots an ex-prisoner defending himself is treated like a criminal?
Well, we have to deal with every case on its individual merit. We have had cases of police officers who shot people and they are before the courts also. So the correctional officer is before the court. In every single case, we conduct an investigation, and if it's determined that there is evidence for the individual involved to be prosecuted, whether you're a police officer or correctional officer, we will do just that.
Okay. Why do policemen take police vehicles home when they're off duty? How does it benefit the nation when they're called out to investigate crime? Sometimes people are told they can't come to a scene because there aren't any vehicles. Are you aware of this? And if you are you doing anything about it?
Well, obviously there are cases of abuse of the vehicles, but we need to be careful that we know that the circumstance before we can pronounce judgment. There are cases where the officers are authorized to go to their homes with the vehicle based on the nature of the jobs that they are doing. So we need to deal with every case on its individual merit. But I accept that there are cases of abuse, and whenever we get any information to suggest that there is abuse, we move on and deal with it, really.
Okay. There was talk of police officers no longer being allowed to moonlight or compete with the security companies for business. What is your position on this issue?
Well, my position remains the same. Police officers are in fact allowed to moonlight, what we call off-duty employment. What we do, we develop an off-duty employment policy, which there are some steps that the police officers are supposed to follow. They get permission from my office, and we look at their own record, their own performance and whatever, and make a determination as to whether we should give them permission. So they get permission to moonlight. I don't know about competing with security companies, really. It's a matter of, I think there's a role for security companies, and there's also a role for off-duty police officers.
Okay. All right. I have tons of questions on police, but I think that I want to move on to something, because a lot of the time people talk about the police or things that are negative. But one thing that a lot of us fail to realize is a lot of us actually support crime in one way or the other. I mean, do you find that?
Yes, we do, really, because a number of the cases that we have had to deal with, particularly the cases involving robbery and other stealing offenses. If there was not a market, the individual who is involved in the stealing, they will not have stolen the item. So a number of us, who are good Christians, normal citizens, we will purchase the camera from somebody who will steal it from a visitor. If we know that we have a relative who's involved in criminal activity, we'll try and protect and defend that person. If we know that we have a son who's walking about the house with a firearm, it's no big deal for us until something has gone wrong. So I think as a people, we need to look at ourselves and look at the ways and means that we should avoid contributing to the crime problem that we faced.
And in the same token, if we are thinking of police officers, we have to think of them as people as well. They bleed just like you do, especially the ones who are good. They have feelings just like you do. I mean, is there anything in place to support the police when they go through difficult times? Sometimes, like a police officer, perhaps he had to shoot someone to defend himself. I mean, a lot of people might just think, oh, he's just doing his job. He doesn't feel anything. That's just part of his job. But I'm sure that police officers go through an emotional chain of events when something like that happens. Is there any support for them?
Yeah, definitely. They are human beings, and obviously they go through the same stress that ordinary human beings go through. People need to understand that St. Lucians, the police officers, are the product of the St. Lucian society. What we've put in place is to have again, it's from the private sector, but we have a counselor on retainer. So whenever there is a case, even if it's not, it doesn't have to be connected to an incident, but in any case that a police officer has a need, whether it's private affairs or whether it's relating to his duties, that he has a requirement to speak to a counselor. That service is available, is being paid for by the government of St. Lucia. We want to go one step further by trying to put in place somebody who's directly aligned or associated with the police department to do it on a full-time basis, because at the moment it's done in the private sector, because the person is still going ahead and perform her normal duties, but that is available to police officers, and we encourage them to capitalize on it.
Okay. Okay, let's come a bit recent now, because after this break we're going to open the phone lines. Okay, what happened in the latest incident allegedly involving a police officer sodomizing an 18-year-old from Mikud at gunpoint? Where are we at with that? Well,
this matter, an investigation was conducted into the matter. A report was made, an investigation was conducted. The police officer was arrested. We did some forensic work, physical evidence work with his vehicle, and some other stuff that we did in that particular case. We conducted an identification parade, but we are at the stage there where we've submitted all our findings in the matter to the Director of Public Prosecution for her final ruling in the matter.
Okay, well, there are lots of things coming here. I mean, my notes say that there were 6 murders on Ireland over the weekend of October the 14th to the 16th, and although we can't go into all of them, I mean, has anything been done with them? That weekend, that is a month of October, yes, there was just so much happening then. Is anything being done, or is it do we just wait until you release the information?
Well, I mean, it's difficult, I guess, for me to speak about individual cases as we speak, but a number of the recent murders we've had, I think we've gotten to a solution to them, and I think it's credit to the work by my police officers and also to the support we receive from members of the public. There are obviously some of them that are still unsolved, but we are following leads. But you see, the reality of police work is that you can only deal with the evidence that you are provided with. You don't really manufacture evidence. So it is possible that a number of these cases that are unsolved, there is somebody, or there are people who have information about it.
I mean, what about the Gloria Greenwood case? I mean, she was murdered over a year ago. Anything happening there?
Well, as far as I know that matter, somebody was arrested on the matter somebody's before the court for that matter. Okay,
at this moment. All right. Well, I mean, it's very difficult, because sometimes people actually say that the delay is because the police have obstructed or they contaminate evidence.
No, I think my police officers are high. I think we've achieved a degree of professionalism in crime scene investigation, and if people, one, they can see when police officers are on the crime scene, they are You know, we have dedicated scenes of crime officers who are trained, so we are not using normal investigators or normal police officers to process the crime scene. The crime scene is actually being processed by dedicated and trained scenes of crime officers. Additionally, we work along with the forensic lab, and if there is a requirement, we'll bring somebody along from the forensic lab for us. So as far as the collection of evidence, we don't really have an issue with it. And if anybody can show any case where, you know, there was contamination during the course of the collection of the evidence, then we can deal with it. But I know from what the system we are using at this point in time, where the collection of the evidence is done by dedicated and trained scenes of crime officers, that is working very well for us.
Okay, well, when we come back for the break, I want to talk about the 911 calls. People are very upset. It takes them too long to get through to the emergency services. And we'll take your calls after the break. Here's a quick reminder of tonight's giveaways, which can be found on dolorfactorlive.com and on our BBM profile. All right, I'm not going to remind you now. Let's just go to the break. You should know them by now. And when we come back, we're going to have some more questions from you, and we'll open the phone lines. See you soon.